I'm going to show you how to do the crocheted provisional cast on for use with thumbs of mittens. So this technique is used to cast on thumb stitches from top to bottom, top down mittens. So by using a crocheted chain, you can cast on your stitches for the thumb and have them be on hold for later. Once you've completed your mitten through the cuff, you'll come back to these crocheted stitches. You'll undo them by taking this stitch out here. These will pull free as a crocheted chain, freeing up these stitches here for you to knit in the opposite direction seamlessly for the thumb. By using this, you can either pick up your stitches with the right leg of a knitting needle prior to unraveling this chain, like so. Then when you unravel this chain, those stitches will be left on your needle for use. Or as you unravel these, you'll free one stitch up at a time that you can put on your knitting needles. So let's talk about how to provisionally cast on these stitches. So once you've worked through the point of your mitten to where you want to add your thumb, when you get around to where your thumb stitches need to be placed, you will do the crocheted provisional cast on. To do the crocheted provisional cast on, you'll need some waste yarn, your mitten with the knitting needles, and a crochet hook. The crochet hook should try to be the size of your knitting needle. You're going to start with your crochet hook as well as a slip stitch. You're going to do 2 or 3 crochet chains prior to starting with your mitten. Once I have 2 or 3 crochet chains, I'm going to take my needles that have my mitten stitches on them. This one is empty for this tutorial. This would be the point on my mittens where I want to add my thumb stitches. So the rest of my mitten would be here. The needle is going to be placed between your crochet hook and the waste yarn, the working side of the waste yarn. You're going to yarn over the crochet hook and pull that through the loop of your chain. You're going to move the working yarn of the waste yarn back behind the needle and again yarn over, pull through the chain stitch. You'll do this for the number of stitches you need for your thumb. So if I need 6 stitches for my thumb, I have 2 created. This waste yarn, working yarn end, will be moved back between the crochet hook and the knitting needle back to the back. I'll yarn over again, pull through the chain. That's 3. Move this back behind the needle again, yarn over, pull through the chain. That's 4. Yarn moves to the back of the needle again, yarn over, pull through. That's 5. Yarn goes back between the hook and the needle, over to the back, yarn over, pull through. At this point, you'll see I have the 6 stitches I need for my thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At this point, I usually crochet another 2 or 3 chain stitches. I then pull the loop long and cut the yarn, or Once you cut the yarn, instead of leaving a loop, you can pull it all the way through, tie a knot in that end so that you know that's the end that you need to unravel later. Either way, whether it's a loop or a tail with a knot, you need a way to differentiate from the end of your chain to the beginning, because the end is where you're going to unravel it. The beginning will not unravel as easily. Once you begin knitting your mitten again, when you get back to where these thumb stitches should be, you will knit each of these with your mitten working yarn as normal stitches and continue around. Then those stitches will be on hold for later use. So again, after you've worked around to your thumb stitches that you've cast on with the crochet provisional cast on, you'll knit each of those loops with the mitten yarn. As you can see, that's where those stitches have been knit. That way you can undo this later on.